much does it really cost to build an app? It's the million-dollar question. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the key factors that determine app development cost. With years of experience working on app projects, I'll share with you real-world examples, cost-saving tips, and what you should expect when it comes to your budget. Let's dive straight in. When we talk about app development cost, one of the first things that you need to decide is whether your app is going to be on iOS or Android or both, because each platform has its own development requirements, and this can significantly affect your budget. If you're building an app for just one platform, let's say for example iOS only, you would reduce your initial costs. However, if you want your app available on both iOS and Android, you're going to be essentially doubling your development time. This can push your budget higher, especially if you're aiming for native app development on both platforms. Cross-platform solutions like Flutter and React Native can drastically reduce this cost because they allow you to build your app within one code base and to deploy on both platforms at the same time. But you also need to keep in mind that cross-platform development isn't always the perfect solution, especially for apps that require complex hardware integration or heavy performance requirements. Another key factor when it comes to app development cost is the app complexity. The more features that your app has, whether it's a simple login screen, a live chat features, or maybe even third-party payment integration, that means the more development time it requires. And more time it requires equals higher the development cost. So let's say for example, a basic app with standard features like authentication or basic forms can cost a lot less compared to something that requires complex hardware integration or third-party items required in an app. Now before we talk about the next thing in today's video, if you need help in regards to building a high-performing app for your business, click on the link below to book in a free call with me, and let's discuss how we can bring your app idea to life and map out the best approach and see whether we're the right fit. Continuing talking about complexity, as I was saying earlier, in today's video, the more complex your app is, the more screens, functionality and interactions there are, it's naturally going to drive the price up in terms of the app development budget. Because if your app has multiple user flows, or if the users need to navigate through several different screens to achieve the goals within the app, obviously the development process is going to be more significant. This includes making sure that the transitions are smooth and user-friendly for the users. For instance, adding more features such as push notifications, location-based services, or real-time processing adds a lot more complexity to the app. Not just in terms of the front end, but also in regards to the back-end development and the back-end processing as well. And following up in regards to hardware integration, so if your app does eventually need to integrate with hardware, especially with external hardware such as IoT devices, wearables, or specialized sensors, that adds in another complexity of layers that will significantly increase the development timeline and of course the costs involved, because specialized expertise, especially in embedded systems and the integration itself, can be a major focus of the project itself. And the final thing that we need to take into consideration in regards to app development cost is the back-end services and the third-party integrations, because these are the invisible parts of your app that can make things run smoothly but can quietly rack up costs, especially during the development process and also during the app deployment process as well. So in regards to servers and databases, if your app needs to store user data or connect to a server, you'll need to consider the database and the server setup costs, because the more data that you have and the more users that your app handles, the more expensive it gets to maintain and scale the backend. Especially for startups, you can start off with small cloud solutions like AWS or Google Firebase, but as you grow, so does the infrastructure needs to handle the associated costs in regards to the backend as well. If your app connects to third-party services such as Google Maps, payment gateways including Stripe, or social media platforms for authentication, there are costs not only involved for the initial integration, but also in maintaining those connections as well. Each API typically has its own set of costs, and integrating multiple APIs can stress out the development timeline. So these are the factors that you need to consider when budgeting for your app. And if you need help in regards to bringing your app idea to life, click on the link below to book in a free call with me, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.